You just walked into a room and forgot why you went in there. It happens to you almost every week. Your brain feels broken for a second, but it isn't. The real answer is far stranger than a broken brain. Your memory was never built to record the world. It was built to survive it. That single sentence changes everything you think you know about yourself. Think about the last argument you had with someone close to you. You remember exactly what they said. You remember the tone. You remember feeling completely justified. But here's the uncomfortable part. If you asked them right now, they would tell a different story. Not a lie, a different memory. Whose version is true? Neither, and both. In the 1990s, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that quietly terrified the entire field of psychology. She showed participants a series of childhood stories mixed in with their real family's input. One of the stories was completely fake. A child getting lost in a shopping mall, crying, being rescued by an elderly stranger. It never happened. And yet, by the end of the study, a large portion of participants insisted they remembered it. Some added details: the color of the stranger's jacket, the smell of the mall, details their brain invented on the spot and then presented back to them as fact. Your brain does not store memory like a video file. It rebuilds memory every single time you access it, like an artist repainting the same scene from a slightly different mood each day. And every time it repaints that scene, it can quietly change the colors. Why would evolution allow something this unreliable? Because accuracy was never the goal. Survival was. Picture your ancestors on the savannah 60,000 years ago. A rustle in the grass. Was it a predator or just wind? The human who paused to carefully analyze all the evidence, who wanted perfect accuracy before deciding, often didn't survive long enough to pass on that careful, accurate brain. The human who assumed danger first and asked questions later did survive. Generation after generation, natural selection wasn't optimizing your brain for truth. It was optimizing it for speed. That single evolutionary shortcut is still running inside you right now, in a world that no longer matches the one it was built for. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying this exact glitch, work that eventually earned him a Nobel Prize. He described the mind as running two systems. One is fast, automatic, emotional. It reacts before you've even finished reading a sentence. The other is slow, deliberate, effortful, and honestly, a little lazy. It only switches on when it absolutely has to. Left to its own devices, your brain almost always defaults to the fast system. Fast feels efficient. Fast feels confident. Fast is also, very often, wrong. Here's where it gets stranger. Your brain doesn't just make fast, sloppy decisions. It also actively hides the sloppiness from you. Ever notice how, after making a bad decision, you almost immediately start explaining why it was actually the right one? That's not weakness. That's a built-in defense system. Psychologists call it confirmation bias, and it's not a character flaw, it's architecture. Once your brain commits to a belief, it starts filtering everything you see afterward to protect that belief. Agreeing information gets welcomed in. Disagreeing information gets quietly dismissed, questioned, or just forgotten. You're not lying to other people when you defend a bad decision. Your own brain is lying to you first, and you're simply repeating what it told you. So if your memory rewrites itself, and your fast-thinking system jumps to conclusions, and your confirmation bias filters out anything that disagrees with you, what's actually left that you can trust? Less than you'd like. But here's the twist that makes this whole story worth telling. In 1959, researcher James Dees, later expanded by Henry Roediger and Kathleen McDermott, ran a study that has since become one of the most replicated experiments in memory research. Participants were read a list of related words, like bed, rest, tired, dream, wake, snooze. Notice something? The word sleep was never actually said. And yet, when tested afterward, a striking number of participants were completely certain they had heard the word sleep, not just guessed it, remembered it. Some described exactly where in the list they thought they heard it. That's not a flaw in a few unlucky people's memory. That's how everyone's memory works, under the right conditions. Your brain isn't a recording device, it's a prediction machine. It looks at fragments of information, fills in the gaps with what usually goes there, and hands you a finished story so smoothly that you never notice the seams. Most of the time, this system works beautifully. It's why you can finish someone's sentence, recognize a face in bad lighting, or catch a ball without doing the physics in your head. Prediction, not perfect recording, is what made your species this adaptable. But it also means certainty feels the same whether you're right or wrong. That's the part that should unsettle you a little. Confidence was never proof. It just feels like proof, because feeling certain was useful for a hunter-gatherer who needed to move fast, not for someone scrolling through conflicting headlines at midnight, feeling absolutely sure about something they read for 8 seconds. So why does this matter to you, right now, today? Because you are making decisions this week based on memories that have been quietly rewritten, filtered through a brain that prioritizes speed over truth, and defended by a bias that only shows you what you already believe. And it will feel, the entire time, like clear, obvious fact. That doesn't make you gullible. It makes you human. Every person who has ever lived has run on this same imperfect hardware. The scientists who study it are not exempt either. Loftus, Kahneman, Roediger, they weren't describing other people's flaws. They were describing the operating system all of you share. Knowing this doesn't fix it completely. Your brain will still fill in gaps. It will still defend its first impression a little too hard. It will still repaint old memories in new colors without asking permission. But something does change once you know it's happening. The next time you feel completely, absolutely certain about something, you can pause, just for a second, and ask a quieter question underneath the loud one. Not, am I right? Your brain will always say yes to that one. Ask instead, what would it feel like if I were wrong right now in this exact moment? That single question is the closest thing you have to override code for 60,000 years of shortcuts. So tonight, when you walk into a room and forget why you went in there, don't treat it as a glitch. Treat it as a reminder. A small, harmless proof that your brain was never trying to give you the truth. It was only ever trying to keep you alive long enough to ask better questions.